Hello everybody, Andrea Tarowski here and welcome. This video I'm going to be talking to you guys about tax write-offs. So if some of you don't know, I started my own tutoring business when I was 19. Now I actually didn't start to claim my taxes until several years later. And that's because I wasn't really making enough initially that I needed to claim any taxes. Now it does depend on where you live, so check with an accountant on this, but I needed to be making at least $3,000 a year to claim my taxes. And when I first got started, I was making maybe a couple $100s here, maybe a couple $100s there, because it was more of a hobby to me. But hopefully, if you're serious about this, you will, of course, be making more than $3,000 a year. Now, I'm talking specifically about taxes in Canada. So if you live anywhere else, this may prove useful to you, but it's not perfect. So please check with your accountant. But I'm not really getting into specifics anyway, because it does depend on where you live. It depends on the type of business you have, and it just sort of depends on a lot of things. But what I'm going to be sharing with you more so is what you can claim for your taxes. Because when I was younger, when somebody told me that I had to claim my taxes, I just thought, okay, that sounds crazy. I don't see the point. I'm not making enough. They were telling me that I had to register my tutoring business to claim my taxes. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know which website to go to. I didn't know sort of what I had to do that. So when I actually did officially register the business, that meant that now the government knows that I do own a tutoring business, and now I can claim taxes. So what that also means is that certain things that I purchase, I can use that for my business and write it off. So I don't actually get cash for that. Like, let's say I bought a new computer for my business, because I can't tutor without my computer. Or let's say the computer that I have broke down, knock on wood. That's not wood. Oh my gosh, I don't have any wood near me, so let's just knock on this here. But let's say that my computer broke down and I needed to buy a new computer. Well, that makes perfect sense, because I can't tutor without having a computer. And since I have a tutoring business, that is something that I need. But that also means that that computer that I purchase, that can be used as a credit come the end of the year. So what I do is I actually keep a spreadsheet on Excel. You could do this on paper. It's totally up to you. But I keep a note of all of my business expenses. So here are some pretty good examples that you may not have thought about. So any office equipment you have can be used as a business expense. So let's say you needed to buy a new webcam, a new laptop. Let's say you needed a new keyboard, your cell phone, your computer desk, your computer chair. That can all be used as a business expense. Now, you, of course, do have to pay for it. You can't expect the government to pay for it for you. But what happens is, coming by to the end of the year, your accountant takes all of that into consideration and then applies that as a credit. But you do still have to be making a certain amount. So let's say I'm making $100,000 a year, and I claim $200,000 in expenses. Well, I can't do that, because that's not a good thing that I'm spending more than I'm making. Now, it's different for me though, because I do have an online business. So there are different rules than, let's say, I owned a bookstore down the street. That's a physical shop, and the expenses are a lot higher. So it would make sense, especially the first year of business, that I'm spending more than what I'm making, right? So it does depend, and I am talking specifically if you have a very simple small business, and my tutoring is considered a simple small business. So if I'm claiming, let's say, $300,000 in office furniture, The government is going to look at that and go, what? That doesn't make any sense. She's a liar. We are going to audit her, and then you have to provide every single sort of proof, paperwork, receipts, everything. So having that said, when you do start to register your business, you only have to do that once. You have to pay a fee. For me, it was about $300 or $350. I'm sorry, I can't remember because it's been a while. And then they do issue you a business number. But as soon as you register the business, that means you can, and you have to start, I guess, claiming it on taxes. So you have to say on your taxes that you do own your own business and that you make your own income. Now, I work part-time too, though, right? So I have to claim my part-time income working at the dental office, but then I also have to claim tutoring also. So that all sort of falls into place, but it also puts me in a much higher tax bracket. So it makes sense that I claim as much as I possibly can, because let's just say that I decide to not claim anything, then I am not getting any credits applied to the end of the year, and I have to pay more taxes. So my accountant did explain it to me. So I can claim a certain amount per year in each category. So a certain amount in office supplies, a certain amount in office equipment, a certain amount in marketing and advertising. So think of the different categories that you may have. And you know what? It's much easier to actually separate it on your sheet. So such as office expenses under one category, office supplies under another, marketing fees under another. I have a section also for my mortgage, heat, hydro, internet, home security system. So I sort of group those into certain categories, so it makes it much easier for my accountant to look through everything at the end or the beginning of the year come tax time. Now, do you need an accountant? Not necessarily, but I feel it's a great idea, totally worth the money, because I wouldn't even know how to sort of claim things properly. So he or she knows the certain credits you can apply. They know how much you are allowed to apply for each category. I'm sure it's something that you can look up, but I actually tried, and there's so much out there. It gets so confusing that I think it's a great idea to hire an accountant. I pay about $250 for my accountant per year. That's it. But guess what? Hiring an accountant is a tax write-off. So I do get a portion of that back. Now, remember, it's not like you get the cash back, but there's credits applied towards the end of the year. So what does that mean? It means that you actually pay less taxes depending on those credits that you have. So let's say that I didn't claim anything. No laptop, computer, office furniture. I'm not claiming my mortgage, my cell phone, the internet, nothing. I would have to pay more taxes, because the more money you make, the more taxes you pay. But then that also means that a certain portion you can claim. And if you claim a certain portion, you pay less taxes. And a perfect example is, I remember the first year that I had actually registered my business and started claiming for my taxes. Now, I claimed everything. Even if I didn't know I could claim it, I put it down on the sheet. I said to my accountant, here's everything, here's proof of everything. If I can't claim something, let me know, but here's everything, okay? And I actually paid less taxes than I ever had, because I was nervous, very, very nervous. My first year of business, I made about $20,000 a year, I believe, which is a lot of money considering I had just started, right? So $20,000 extra is amazing, but I was afraid that I would have to pay, let's say, half of that back, because this is just something that I had heard or read on the internet, right? So I thought, okay, so here I made $20,000. Do I have to pay $10,000 in taxes? And he had told me no. He said that if you're making, say, $2 million a year, you may have to pay close to half of that in taxes, but you're also making $2 million, right? So paying half of that in taxes, yes, that's a lot, but you're still making a lot. If you're making $20,000 a year, you don't have to pay half of that. No way. I had to pay about $2,000, you guys, and that's nothing. To me, that's nothing. I said awesome, because I had actually saved up about $10,000 because I thought that I may have to pay $10,000, right? So I did save up a good chunk of change. So I actually felt amazing. I quickly paid the $2,000, and then I had all of this money left, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. So having that said, another thing that I do think is a great idea is every time that somebody makes a purchase, save a portion of that. So put it into your separate savings account or some separate account, so that when you do have to pay taxes, and you may owe, say, $2,000, $5,000, $500, you know what, who knows, because it does depend on the business you have. You don't have to think, oh my God, I don't have $500 or I don't have $2,000. So always save a portion from every purchase, okay? So I'm in the habit of saving 30% of every single purchase, and I put that into a separate savings account. And then at the end of the year, the portion that I have to pay in taxes, I will have, plus some extra money left over. And it doesn't hurt to save your money, right? Never. So save 30%. You may not have to save that much, but I would prefer to have more money at the end of the year opposed to not having enough, and then to have to say, okay, I owe $2,000. I don't have the money, so now I have to borrow money to pay that. You know what? Like, that's just not something that I ever want to do. But what my accountant told me is that, and again, this may not be the same for everybody, and it's probably not, but the type of business that I have, he did say for every $30,000 you make, if you keep claiming the same type of expenses, your mortgage, your cell phone, the internet, office supplies, office expenses, I'm trying to think what else here, but he said I will typically have to pay per $30,000 that I'm making about $2,000, and that to me is nothing. So it's not as hard and it's not as tricky as you may think, but it's so much easier to hire an accountant, okay? So I'm talking too much again. I wanted to show you guys my recent blog article. Where is it here? I think it's right here. So I'm just gonna share my screen. I'm gonna make things a little bit bigger, and I'm gonna pull up my chair here. There we go. Let's angle this a little bit better. So let me pull up my chair. And let's talk about this a little bit. So I did write an article because when I first started my business, I had asked a lot of questions about, okay, do I have to claim the business? Do I have to pay extra taxes? Do I not have to pay extra taxes? How much will I have to pay? What can I claim? So I did have a lot of questions, and even the business coach that I had at the time, she was not helpful, like at all. She's like, well, it depends on where you live, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, could you provide me an example of how much you're paying and what you're claiming so that I can kind of do the same thing, right? But she was no help at all. So again, that is why I love being a business coach to those people just getting started, because I've been there, I've done that, and I swear there's no coaches out there who know how to handle people just getting started. I don't know why. So this is perfect for you all who are just getting started. So I will keep the link. The link is here, but I will put that at the end of the YouTube video so you have it. But this just sort of explains, how I got started, which I believe I talked about most of it anyway. and some examples of things that you can claim. Now, I forgot about this one. This is my favorite. So I have a house cleaner come sometimes every 2 weeks, sometimes every 3 weeks. It more so depends on my schedule, but that is considered a tax write-off because I tutor at home. So having a cleaner come to my house and clean for me, that's considered a tax write-off. So I can actually claim that. So for her, it's about $20 an hour, and she's usually here for 4 to 5 hours. You know, it depends on how long she was here the last time, but about 4 to 5 hours, and that's it. So that is a tax write-off. So I make sure to save proof that I paid her, and then there you go. Portion of your cell phone bill, the internet, the mortgage, and I mean, I say a portion because, oh, sorry, my puppy's like eating something. So let me just pause this for a second. I'll be right back. Actually, I think I just paused my screen share. So let me pause the recording and I'll be right back, guys. Okay, everybody, sorry about that. Let me resume my screen share. My puppy was eating something. She was eating the rug, so I kind of had to stop her. But let me just resume my screen share here. Okay, perfect. So you can claim your house cleaner. I talked about that. I was on, oh yes, so when I say portion of the mortgage, the internet, and phone bill, so I mean a portion because you can't claim the whole thing, but a certain portion. And my accountant explained it to me, but it sounded very confusing. Depending on how large your office space is, that is dependent on the portion that you can claim. So you might be able to claim, say, 20% of the mortgage, 10%. You may be able to claim like 10% of the cell phone bill, depending on how many calls you make and use it for your tutoring. So he actually figures that out for me. So I did actually have to give him a blueprint of the office space and what I use the cell phone for, and the internet too. So approximately how many hours per day I use the internet. So I did have to give him all of that, but then he sort of does the calculations from there. So again, this is why I hired an accountant. I paid $250 a year for him. That's it, totally worth it, so I don't have to worry about all of that. So you can also claim, like I said, the office supplies, office equipment, and travel, which I love. Now, I tutor from home, so I can't claim, of course, all of my travel expenses unless I'm traveling to meet a client, if I'm traveling to meet a student, if I'm traveling to give a meeting somewhere, if I'm speaking at some event, I can claim that. But I do have to say where I went, how many hours it took at the event, and how many hours it took to drive there and then back home. I need to say the distance traveled, and I need to say who I met and for how long. So you do have to be specific. Your accountant can help you with this too, because it depends on, again, I'm sorry, but it's true, it depends on where you live, okay? And then I like this one. So let's say you had a meeting with a client and you met at a coffee shop, a pizza place, a fancy restaurant. Half of your food and your client's food is covered. So well, covered isn't the right word, but it's more like a tax write-off. So keep proof of that, and then that is a tax write-off. So not the whole bill, but half of it is, which is awesome, right? So if I'm meeting a student to tutor somewhere, if I'm meeting a new client who may have questions, you know, I keep track of that, and then I use that at the end of the year. But there's only a certain amount you are allowed to claim, so check with your accountant on this. But same thing, I just claim everything. I give everything to my accountant in a nice, clear, organized manner, but then he does it all for me, so it's awesome. And I didn't know this, and I actually don't have any yearly fees on my credit card, but a lot of you probably do. Those fees are a tax write-off. How cool is that? And apparently, if you owe interest on your credit card, which I don't have that either. So if you don't pay it off in full and you use your credit card only for business, that interest, a certain amount, is a tax write-off. I didn't know that either, but I thought that that was neat. But I do have this. So for my bank account, I pay about $14.95 a month to keep it open. So that fee is a tax write-off. If you need to hire a babysitter to get work done, a tax write-off. And I like this one too. Any courses you take to advance your skills, that's a tax write-off. So for those of you who have taken my Biz Academy course and pay $99 a month, that is a tax write-off. How awesome is that? I love that. If you wear a uniform to work, if you buy certain clothes for meeting clients, that's a tax write-off. I love it. If you advertise on Facebook, if you need to print out business cards or order business cards, if you need to pay certain ads to advertise, all of that is a tax write-off. It's pretty awesome. So if you're like me, who when I first started my business, I was afraid to register the business. I was afraid to get started because I didn't want to have to pay taxes. I didn't want to have to work so hard to make the money and then have them say, okay, you owe half in taxes now. I didn't want that, but that's not the case. If you're making $2 million, yes, oh my God, my puppy again, you guys. Sorry, let me pause this again. I'll be right back. There, everybody, sorry about that. This is my life with having a puppy. It's crazy. She's still 4 months, so she was eating paper that I had on my bookshelf, so I kind of had to stop her. So I am sorry about that. So where was I? So yes, so if you're thinking or you're concerned about registering your business for taxes, don't be afraid, because I was thinking that I had to pay like half in taxes, but you don't have to. If you're making $1 million, you may have to, but that's still a good chunk of change, right? I mean, even if you have to pay taxes, you are making amazing money. But that's another reason why I like to keep things small. You know what? Like, I work for myself. I don't hire anybody else. And speaking of which, if you do hire somebody to help you, they are a tax write-off. So you see, you guys, so a lot of things are a tax write-off. Like I said, I'll post the link at the end of this YouTube video to help you out. Any questions, please let me know. I do actually have a full course of this in the Biz Academy. So if you wanted to have a look at that, you just have to go to my main site. Up here, you see Biz Academy. Click on that, and it explains everything. And remember, if you sign up for a course, it's a tax write-off, you guys. So why not, right? Why not? I can help you. I talk about all of this stuff in the Biz Academy. I love to talk about it. I am always here to help, always. So again, my apologies for my puppy. I did have to stop the video a couple times, but this is my life. So sorry. And yeah, stay tuned for the next video for you to learn a lot of fun stuff. Okay, you guys. See you later.